Have you ever made handmade dishcloths? Good morning. This is Deb from Just Do Something Homestead, and today we are going to make some dishcloths. You may be wondering, why would you want to make handmade dishcloths? It's pretty easy. You will never have to buy another one again, and they work wonderfully. When you make dishcloths, you're going to want to use 100% cotton. And this is one of my favorites. It is natural just cotton. The size is medium. It's actually from Italy, but 100% cotton. I like to choose a dark color. I think when you're doing dishes, if you're washing something like spaghetti sauce, it's going to hide the stains much better than a white one. For this project, I am using a size H or 8 hook, and it is 5 millimeters. This pattern will make a 9-inch square dishcloth. And the greatest thing about this pattern, you can change the color, you can change the stitch, you can change just about anything as long as you stick with the cotton yarn. You're going to start this project by making a loop onto your crochet hook. So around your fingers twice, just like that. Then I take my hook and I go under, over, and pull. And then pull the long tail. Add 35 chain stitches. 1, 2, 3, and you're just going to keep on chaining. Make sure that this chain is not too tight, because if you don't have a perfect little square on this project, it's going to be very noticeable. This is what 35 chain stitches look like, and this pattern you can adapt very easily. 35 stitches gives me a 9-inch square dishcloth. Now, if you want it larger, you can make it larger. If you want it smaller, just use less stitches. The average dishcloth in America is 8 inches, so I like mine to be a little bit larger. This pattern is mostly half double crochet. The very edge around the outside will be single crochet, but the bulk of it is half double. Now, to do that stitch, you're going to yarn over. You're going to stick it in the second loop on your chain. You don't want it in that very first one, but put it into the second. Grab your yarn, and what I like about this, you're going to pull it through all 3 of those loops. So let me show you that again. So you're going to yarn over, go to the next one, pull it through, and go through all 3 of those loops. From this point, you're just going to put a half double crochet stitch in every single loop, going across until you get to the end of the row. I've come to the end of the row by putting a half double crochet stitch in each one. Now I'm going to put one into the last stitch. Like that. I've shown this little trick before, but one thing I despise is finishing a project and then having all these loose tails that have to then be worked in. So I work them in as I crochet, and this may look a little confusing, but I make a little bit bigger loop, and I'm going to stick it down through that last stitch I just did. So with this one, there are 3 loops on it. So put all 3 of those loops onto my hook, and then I'm going to grab that tail and pull it up through, just like that. All right, so now the tail is up top. So I am going to chain 2, 1, 2, and turn. And what you see is that tail is right there at my first stitch. Now, I'm going to continue this pattern of half double crochet, but only in the back loop. You don't want to be using the front loop. So if you turn it upright, you can see that V shape. I'm only going to use that back loop. And I'm going to take this tail that I just had and hold it on top of my stitches. That way I'm weaving it in as I am crocheting. All right, and let me show you what I mean. So I've got this tail. He's going to go across the top stitch. I'm going to yarn over. Now I only want the back stitch, and so I got to make sure that tail is in that stitch. So there's the tail, there's the back loop. Oops, I dropped it. So I'm going to yarn it and then pull it through. All right, the tail is moving with me. So yarn over. I only want the back stitch. Back stitch, pull that tail tight and go through. All right, tail still there. Yarn over, hold the tail, and make sure I get that tail over the stitch I'm in. Oops, I dropped my stitches. It happens. Pull it through. That's 3. I'm gonna do another one with my tail. Then I'm gonna cut that tail off. Make sure that tail is there. Pull it through. Now, once he is cut off, it's going to be much easier not trying to keep him across the top. So I am now going to cut off that tiny little tail. And make sure you don't get it mixed up and cut your lead, which I have done before. Just like that. All right, so for the bulk of this row, you're just going to yarn over, go into the back loop, pull it through all 3. And you're going to do the rest of this entire project just like that. So once I get to the end of this row, I'll show you what you're going to do. Now, one thing I do suggest when you are doing dishcloths is not to change the colors. Dishcloths get a lot of wear, and if you have lots of tails from all of those colors, they eventually are going to start peeking out. So change your colors for an Afghan, that's different. It doesn't get as much use, but this is going to be in your washing machine. And so definitely don't change too many colors. It may look nice, but you would be better off using a variegated cotton. All right, I'm going to finish this row, meet you at the end. I now have 2 rows of half double crochet. One thing I'm going to suggest is that you also count your stitches, because if you're trying to make a perfect square and you add or you subtract every time you crochet, you definitely are not going to have that square. All right, so I finished this row. What I'm going to do is chain 2 and turn, and immediately start putting half double crochets, back loop only, going to the end of the row. All right, you are going to continue doing this pattern until it is square, and I will show you how to determine if it is square. I have continued to crochet, and I'm going to show you how to count these rows. Instead of counting every single one, just count the chains that go across, and you can easily see that line. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And that made a perfect square. The way to tell if you have a square is to fold it over. So take one corner and fold it to the other corner, and it should line up on both the top and the side. And so that is square. I am going to now finish this row. I just have a few more stitches to go, and remember, it's just the back loop, half double crochet. Now you could end your project right here, and that is simply not having an edging on it, but I decided I would like to add an edge all the way around on all 4 sides. Now to do that, I am going to chain twice and turn to the side. Now this can be a little tricky because it's not like crocheting the next row. You're not going to have easy equal stitches to look. You're just trying to find a loop to go in. And so there's one there, and I'm just going to put a single crochet. Now when you have a big loop, right there is a big loop, I don't use that because it's going to show a bigger hole. So I try to always have 2 stitches I can go through. And I'm just going to go through and add single crochet going across. All right, when you get to the end of this row, you're going to chain 2, and I'll be right back with you. So 1 single crochet in each space going along the side. I have single crocheted all across the side, and then I chain 2, which you've already done. I'm going to chain 2 right now. So chain 2 and turn to do the next side. So this is the chain that you started with. Now, for this single crochet, stick it in the exact same hole you just did the other one. So you did a single crochet, you chained 2, and then you put another single crochet in that corner. Now this row is much easier. You're just going to look for that chain stitch. Each one has a loop, and put a single crochet. All right, when you get to the end of the row, single crochet, chain 2, turn, single crochet in the same hole. We have 2 sides done. This is single crochet. We turned, we did single crochet, and now I have single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And just like the other side, you're going to find a space that you can wiggle that hook into. Try to get at least 2 on there. Sometimes it's tricky, like right now that needle or that hook does not want to go in. All right, just like that. And try to avoid the big spaces. So this side takes a little bit longer, just like that. And you don't want to go too far in either. Don't find a hole way back here. Keep it along the edge, but make sure that it has at least 2 loops on it. All right, when you get to the end of this row, you're going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. We are almost finished. We've done a row of single crochet, then a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now we are going to go across the finish line. Now for this one, it's a little bit different. We were doing half double crochet back loops only, but for the single crochet edging, you are going to use both of those loops. So turn it if you need to see both of them, but through both, single crochet. All right, do it to the end of the row and I'll show you how to finish up your dishcloth. I just finished that last row. I put a single crochet in the last space. Now I'm going to chain 2 because we're still doing a corner and slip stitch into the first stitch that we added. And this one I really had to wiggle it around, but you just want a slip stitch like that. Now I am going to tie that off and weave in the edges. So cut off that tail and pull it through. Now, as most of you know, I like to add a knot as well. I just don't think that's tough enough. So I'm going to put a knot at the very corner of that edging. If you look carefully, you can see the knot that I put on the end. And what I'm going to do is weave these ends into my dishcloth. There is no right side or wrong side on it. So you're just going to weave it in so that it is not easily seen. Typically, I use my crochet hook itself to weave it in, but I have switched to using a needle because I found it's a little easier on these dishcloths. So I just went through the weave and I'm going to pull it through. And you do have to wiggle it around a little, just like that. And once it is woven in there, I just trim off the tail. And there you have it. That is your first dishcloth. I hope you enjoyed this project today. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. And as always, please add those projects that you have made and put a picture down below so we can all enjoy them. Have a great day. Bye-bye.